Hello, hello. We are here again. Our conversation about crystals, about spiritual awakening, about energy hygiene. Yeah, now we're going to talk about telepathy, right? Annie, Bourke, and I, Jana, the healing magician. I'm starting to name it more often as I'm manifesting my reality into existence. We're going to talk about telepathy now, and I want to have Annie start talking about that. As a big part of your work is telepathy and telepathic communication. So let's go.
Okay, thank you. So, my understanding of telepathy is that it's communication, as Yana said, with no words that you're saying audibly. So, you're not speaking with your mouth like I'm doing at the moment, and you're not hearing the sound through your ears. So, it's a very different way of communication. I also understand that as children, we know how to do this. We do it automatically, and you can see little children talking with animals, and they'll squat right down next to the animal. They'll have a conversation and they'll tell you what they've said. And most adults think, oh, yes, dear, very nice, not understanding that they are genuinely having a conversation. But something happens as we grow up and we stop doing it. But it's something that we can reactivate again. And this is what I've been doing in my work with animals now for over 12 years, is having telepathic conversations with them. So I hear their voices in my head, and it's quite weird because the noise is actually in here. It's not coming in through your ears. But you can hear their voices like different human voices. They've got different tones, different accents. Some of them tell jokes, and you can hear them when they're smiling and laughing. Some of them, there's a lot of emotion in their stories, particularly if they're rescue animals and they haven't had a very happy start to life. So they can really express a lot through their voices. But telepathy also includes image sharing. And I don't understand the thought transference technology that they use, and they haven't explained that to me. But if I don't understand what they're trying to tell me verbally, I ask if they can show me. And somehow I end up with an image in my head, like a photo, or they might send me little letters to spell a word, or they can show me a little video snippet. And that's just incredible.
Mm.
So, one of my cats, when I was learning how to communicate, I asked him what his favorite part of the day is. And the next thing, I've got this video in my head of me opening up the internal garage door coming home from a day at work. And so it was through his eyes seeing me coming into the house. And then he showed me him jumping up onto my lap to have a Reiki session because he loved having Reiki. But it was just so interesting seeing this video through his eyes and how he got that into my head. They haven't explained, and obviously I don't need to know, but they can also send emotions and feelings. So I can tune into animals and just ask how they're feeling, and then they let me feel in my body what they're feeling in their body. And it's been particularly enlightening finding out how many of our animals are still dealing with the grief from losing another animal family member. And that grief can be there for years. And we don't see that on the outside, they hide it, but it's something that they're struggling with on the inside. So I spoke with a horse who had some physical issues, and we had a conversation and we worked out what was happening. But then she let me know that she'd had a twin. And it's very uncommon for horses to be twins, but even more uncommon for both of them to be born alive. And so she'd lost her twin before she was born, and she was still dealing with that grief years afterwards. But fortunately, there are modalities around now to help with dealing with emotional issues for our animals so that they're not just stuck in grief. But that's just one of the things that they can share through telepathic communication. So, verbal or visual or emotions or feelings. And it's just amazing that they can do it. So when we can't talk telepathically to them, when we haven't reactivated our ability to do that, they have to use their eye language or body language, like looking at you. They can vocalize differently, and you know that something's wrong because they're using a different tone or different way of communicating with you, or they can change their behavior. And that's one of the most effective ways of getting our attention,
Yeah.
particularly if they change their bathroom etiquette, because it's something that we certainly notice. And every animal I've spoken with who's changed their bathroom behavior, none of them are being deliberately naughty. They're trying to let their human know that something is wrong, or they're trying to tell their human something about them. So once we tune into how to telepathically communicate, we can just find out so much. And so for me, with animals, it's finding out, have we had a past life connection with them? Why are they with us? Are they helping us with our soul lessons? What do they want us to know? How can they help us? There's lots of different things, as well as finding out about health or behaviour issues. There's a much deeper purpose to why our animals are with us. And I just love exploring that through the telepathic communication. It's how animals communicate with each other. And so once we know how to do that with domestic animals, then we can go and talk to animals at zoos, which is what I love doing, because often they don't have people coming and talking telepathically with them. So it's a bit of a novelty. And you can also talk to animals in the wild and get their perspectives on things as well. Some humans communicate telepathically with each other, and I think particularly twins are very tuned in energetically to each other. So often you'll hear stories of one twin knowing that there's something wrong with the other twin. They can feel into the energy and just know intuitively that something's going on. So it's a whole different way of communicating to the normal verbal language that we're using. But animals have got a vast repertoire with their vocabularies. The words they know are just incredible. I practice that with my mentorship program that I'm doing, and we do exercises where the animals have to send the humans a message, and we have to work out what they're sending and sending messages backwards and forwards and confirming that they're receiving them.
Yeah.
But I had one of the cats I was working with, a mum had to send mum a word starting with S, and he said supercalifragilisticexpialidocious from Mary Poppins. Now, I don't know how he knew that from Mary Poppins. Then he sent an image of himself rolling his eyes like, send me a harder challenge to do, mum. So it's amazing what they pick up. They do understand everything that we're saying. And some of the words they've used in the exercises we've done, I've never heard of, but I've looked them up in the dictionary and they're there. So they're very intelligent and very intuitive. And having a conversation can just be so enlightening, particularly when they know what our life purpose is and what we need to be doing next.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Like, obviously, you know what you're talking about, right? Like you can't make that up. Like you can't. If people look at that, like you can't make that up. And I'm having experienced those things also before. And I am very telepathic, and I do have telepathic communication with humans, with animals, with other living organisms. So it's been very interesting for me also to hear your perspective with what I can say that the cat that I had, or it's still alive, and he's been also a twin, right? Or we saved their lives basically. So if we wouldn't have taken them, they would have been dunked and killed from the owner. And like I have a very special connection with him. We just knew, we communicated when I've been a smoker back then. I think really before I went to Australia 4 years ago, around that, on the last half year that I was there, he felt that I'm going to leave. And when he's been with me in my room, which he has been always, he's been just when I went outside to have a cigarette or smoking a joint, he just followed me outside, was sitting next to me and came back inside. And I didn't had to say a word. It's very, very beautiful in the way that we have the ability to communicate with each other energetically, which is really it. And we talked about intention as well in the further episode with the crystals. And we do can have that connection and conversation even with crystals. The telepathic communication, we can have that with other humans. I do also hear thoughts of humans, and I did as a child as well, and I could really tune into streams of thought of other people, but I also learned to cut that off, which is also very important because I don't need to, I don't want, it's been very dramatic and very traumatizing as well in a degree. Being able to listen to other people's thoughts energetically, really, it's yeah, sometimes gross, sometimes okay, yeah, funny, sometimes whatever it might be, but it's not something that serves me in a big purpose. I can use it to create a better world. I can use it for healing. I can really use it with a great intent, and I learned to really when I don't need to use it, just to be in my own mind, and learned also to silence the noises around me as I've been receiving information from people, and I really, if I don't, I just don't want. It just distracts me from being in my own energy, and I really had to learn to keep my energy clean. We talked about energy hygiene, and those parts, it's just beautifully to see how they all play together. And I'm very grateful to have that series as well. I think this is number 5 that we record now. Um, as yeah, it's digestible for people, right? Having those topics, because we could talk about we could be all over the place in one episode, what we kind of have had as well, for people to see the episode that I uploaded that we had. When was it? In July, June, maybe even June.
Mhm.
And yeah, we can discuss all of those topics in one session as they're all interrelated but and connected with each other. But it's good to see, even for me, I learn more through that conversation with you as well. So yeah, it's beautiful.
Mhm. And I think you just raised a good point there without actually saying the word, with your energy, with the gifts that you have. It's also learning to set boundaries. So if you've got skills that you can talk to people in spirit, you don't want them coming through and talking to you all the time. You need to have a break, and you need to have time out to do other things. So it's another important lesson on the spiritual pathway, but also with the energetic hygiene, that you can set boundaries, that you're not tuning
Hmm.
into getting messages all of the time. Otherwise, you're just exhausted.
That's right. Big lesson. Big lesson. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, really, for the people, really, yeah, let us know what you think, right? Let us know if you also have had experiences like that, mystical experiences, or maybe even um other experiences that have been mystical, in their own unique way. We would love to hear and to see and to connect, as yeah, it's a pleasure to have those conversations and to see like-minded individuals tuning into those conversations. And yeah, is there anything else that you feel is important for the people to hear about that topic
I think
with
on that,
telepathy?
yeah, as you start studying telepathy, wherever you do it, it's very easy to doubt what you're hearing. That's a very common
Mm-hmm.
block, because, part of your rational brain is going, how can you be hearing messages from an animal? How can you possibly do that?
Mm-hmm.
So it's learning to accept and be open to what comes in. And I find with animals that they answer the question very quickly. And sometimes they even anticipate what I'm about to say, and they'll give me the answer before I've even got the question out. So don't doubt what you get. And particularly when it's words that you don't commonly use. I spoke with a cat the other day who told me there was a poltergeist in the house. Now, I've had lots of conversations with animals where they're aware of a different energetic presence in the house, but I haven't had anyone telling me it's a poltergeist, and that's not a word that I would use in a conversation. So I knew it was definitely her telling me that.
Interesting, interesting, interesting. Yeah. Annie, awesome. Yeah, we are sometimes our biggest judge, right? It really is like that. But yeah, if you're on the spiritual path, right, it helps to be surrounded by people who you feel supported from. This is very important, and to learn to be with people who are on the same path as you, so you can exchange stories and mystical experiences, even your fears and worries about what you experience, because it can be very frightening at times. It has been for me. I've had several yeah, traumas that I had to deal with, even due to being open and receiving information and not knowing how to protect myself. So even, right, my invitation to you, if you are struggling with protecting your own energy, reach out. Like I'd be able to help and happy to help, right? And even if it's something that I send to you as a tool that might be a benefit from you, such as a meditation that just helps you to be in more inner alignment with yourself, your own energy, to strengthen your inner core within you, so you can, yeah, really live the best life, and be happy and fulfilled, and yeah, having that magic back in your life, that spark that is within you, right? You see it in the shining of the eyes um, when you have it. So yeah, thank you, Annie. That was beautiful. And everyone, give us a like, leave a comment, and share in your story or with family story on Instagram if you feel like it, just to let people know. Um, let them know if you got help, if you received something valuable, right? They would profit or benefit from it. Um, yeah, just always good to share experiences, to share something that helped you, that supported you on your way, so other people can even benefit. Alrighty, see you in the next episode. I love you all, and yeah, all my love.